Greetings, everyone. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and I am here with you for the Aries full moon Divine Feminine astrology reading. The full moon is at 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time, where I live in Maine. That is tomorrow, October 1st. And that date, October 1st, means that the full moon in Taurus, when the sun is in Scorpio, no, wait a minute, where are we? The sun is in Libra now. When the sun is in Scorpio, will also be happening in the month of October. So we get rather excited about blue moons. And in reality, the moon, it is occasionally, like we had a second Cancer new moon, I believe, back this past summer that was in the sign of Cancer, and that's probably even more significant than the month. But let us have our fun with it. It gets people's attention, gets them tuned into the astrology, and that is a benefit because the astrology is really intense right now, and it is impacting people in a very big way, and it's impacting the collective, the events of the world. But it's most definitely impacting each of our lives, each of our inner lives. What is happening inside of us? How is our resilience? How are we being resourced? How are we able to show up? How are we taking care of ourselves? And then the next step is, how are we interacting with the people around us? And then you build that. You exponentialize that, and you get the collective impact, which can be insane. It can also be so poignant, so extraordinary, so beautiful, so much love, so much shift, and even that can be terrifying. Have I scared you about this new moon, full moon yet? That was not my intention. But I always pray that what needs to be said come through my mouth. I'm going to show you this picture. I already published this picture. This is like a major aspect of this full moon. The moon itself is conjunct Chiron in Aries down here, opposite the sun in Libra. Now that is the keynote. The sun in Libra is about relationship, the connection, the dance. We say the balance, but the balance is a balancing of movement, a balancing of fluid motion, of shifts constantly happening. It truly is a dance. Balance is not stasis. That is impossible in the world we live in. And it is both a quantum world that is happening in the unseen, in the etheric, in the place where time does not exist, where one thing can be in two places at the same time. Space-time is an illusion. And it's also the world of form, where what goes up must come down. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And the path, we may want that straight line really hard, but our line is usually tangled and curvy and double back and full of chaos. And yet the balance gets us from here to there. And we have the power that we have. Our straight line is our alignment with our desires and our decisions and the world that we want to live in and the world that we are creating individually and together. I don't know where all that came from. I think it's somehow in this chart, because this picture, charts sometimes can contain images of sacred geometry, and in the great history of astrology, of which I am not a student, but I do know, I pick up on the bits and pieces that come my way. Oppositions are important. Conjunctions. We've got a bunch of conjunctions here and everywhere else. There's conjunctions all over this. Conjunctions, oppositions, and squares. And some astrologers only read those. I also read the trines because I'm interested in flow as a water person. And I have 2 grand water trines in my natal chart. And today, in the confluence, at the exact moment of this full moon, there is a grand fire trine. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. I realized I did not finish describing the axis between the sun and the moon. The moon is in Aries. Aries is the first sign. It's a fire sign. It is youth. It is passion. It is like the Fool in Tarot. It's where everything begins. And so the moon is, in a way, the moon is grandmother. She goes through her cycles, 13 of them in the course of a revolution around the sun. And she goes through ages. She is grandmother moon. She is the crone. And in Aries, she is young. She is a maiden moon, and her emotions are out of control. She has not learned, or is in the process of learning, emotional regulation, emotional intelligence. And so, what could be happening to you as this moon, we are in the most intense moment right now, the next 30 hours before the actual time of the full moon. It's a bit of a pressure cooker, and with all this fire, it could be a powder keg. So this moon right now, the moon at the moment is still in Pisces, but it is pushing all that energy, and it is literally about to be born into the wheel of the chart of the zodiac again. And it's going to come out with all of its demands and its raw emotion. I'm hungry. I'm lonely. I'm scared. I'm afraid. I don't know if I can get through this. Where is my mother? Where is my food? So you can see you might be feeling really elemental, fundamental emotions around survival and identity. And they could feel a little bit out of control with everything else that's going on. This moon is in a conjunction with Chiron, thank God. Chiron is holding that moon and saying this is an important part of your process. Release, release, release. It is safe to release. So this moon, if you do full moon ceremony, tapping into a group or a leader or doing it on your own by yourself, just recognize that this is a time for massive, massive release, emotional release. And Chiron is there. You will not lose your shit. It will not kill you. It will not destroy you. Allow it to happen. Create the container. And full moons are often a time when I like to be in ceremony with other people. New moons are very inward, and I often do solo times at new moons, but full moons I like to be with people, and I don't know that I'm going to be with people tomorrow night because of COVID. We're just not getting out and going around up here in the wilderness where I live. But I can tap into some online things. I may even show up and let my community be with me. We'll see. If any of you would like that, if you would like me to hold space for you, to drum, maybe even do a fire for the full moon, and to support you, sending you energetic support through space and time. I can set that up. Just let me know. Put it in the comments and say, yeah, do that. I'm in. And I'll set up a little donate button if we're going to do that to allow you, to help you create your container. Yeah, I'll check in and see if that's going to happen. And if it is, I'll let you know. That's back to the reading. So Chiron is there saying, when you release all that emotion, your healing is available to you. Your awareness will shift. This is really important. Things that you have been holding on to that you haven't known, you have been holding it together. Well, some of us for a solid 9 months of COVID, of this coronavirus thing, even in the anticipatory moments. And then other things have been added on top of it, aside, job losses, economic uncertainty, illness, the children, fires, storms. It's been relentless. And then we are also pushing, we're having this almost balsamic moment, literally the last month before the United States election, where so much feels at stake and so much has happened in the political scene just in this last moon cycle. So we're carrying a lot. And I think one of the best things you can do during this time, to help you get through the last quarter of 2020, is to have a massive emotional release. So what will it take for you to do that? Well, if you can create a container, it will help you, because it might happen outside of you or in spite of yourself. It's going to happen. Yeah. So if it happens at the dinner table, if it happens in bed with your partner, if it happens with your mother or your child and you're saying, or your boss, and all of a sudden you have lost control and you are saying things that you don't even remember you said after because the volcano inside of you blew. That's what this is. This is a volcano. I just saw it. Okay, I'm getting to this in a minute. Well, you may be picking up the pieces for a long time. Whereas if you can do it in ceremony, where you are giving it to God, giving it to the earth, giving it to nature, then you can experience the pure cleansing of this full moon and allow the new to come in. What new insight? What new connections can you make? What space becomes available inside of you because you are not trying to keep the lid or make sense of the emotions that are boiling inside of you? Thank you, grandmother. I had no idea that was coming. So that is the keynote. The full moon energy, Chiron and the moon across from the sun. And yes, it will have an impact on your relationships because there is the sun in Libra. Your love relationship. In this particular chart of this moon chart, it's 7th house. So to the extent that that is general, that it applies universally, that we are all having a 7th house moment, light shined on the 7th house. The projections, because the moon and Chiron together are in the 1st house. And there's another thing that's happening with that I'm going to explain. I may as well explain it now. Okay. In the middle of this, I'm just going to show you. I think it's relevant. Here is the sun, these green dotted lines to Nessus and Uranus Albion. What does that mean? Okay, that is called the finger of God, or a yod formation. It's two quincunxes, I forgot the official name of it, but it means like a something. It's not an, it's not a opposition. It's kind of in between. It's usually considered pretty challenging. It doesn't know whether it's coming or going. It's full of angst. It's full of tension. And when you've got two of them connecting a sextile across from a planet just opposite, then that's called the finger of God. And it's incredibly fateful. And it's this planet at the apex and the information surrounding that planet is the focal point. So here with the sun, your identity shining a light in the Libra, the house of your sense of balance, of equilibrium, of masculine and feminine dancing together, and of your relationships, which form so much of your life. Hello, Corinne. Thank you. I see you. So you've got this dance of the relationships, and these relationships could be ancestors, parents who passed on, that you are still working with the material that they left you in your early life. Old lovers that you're still, thinking, oh God, don't let me repeat that again with my next relationship. Your current relationship. It can be whatever is up for you. Look at it through the lens of, this is a relationship that is shaping me and that I am shaping. Because what we have in the first house, the I am, that sense of identity of who I am and who I want to become, projecting onto the relationships. And oh, how we project. Our relationships are 90% projection, at least. Ask me how I know. Do I sit and wonder what my partner is thinking? And do I not ask? Because is what what if he says nothing, which is probably true, but I'm making up shit in my mind. I just finished reading a novel, which I'm not going to tell you what it is because it wasn't very good, but it pointed out how a mother-daughter conflict that lasted 90 years, the mother was in her 90s, the daughter finally tells the story of her life from her point of view. The mother was doing everything she could to give the child a sweet childhood, a safe upbringing, to do the right thing. And the child was just totally, why doesn't she love me? And, and there were reasons, the overheard conversation, the piece of information that didn't make any sense, so I'll make up a story about it. So, the daughter had projected onto the mother. She doesn't really love me. I'm not good enough for her. So this is at the core of what's going on at this moon right now. And so any place that you need to get clear, own what is yours, recognize that this thing that you are looking at across the chart is 90% of your own making. And you can transform it in your own making. And sifting through, shifting, releasing, renewing your emotions, letting the toxic emotions blow in a safe place, and letting emotional intelligence begin to find a foothold so that you can know that you're okay even if you're full of shit, because that's what it feels like. It's like, oh my God, I am not a victim here. I am creating this. And it's like, yeah. And the very fact that you see that means you are healthy, you are well, you are in good shape. You're going to get through this. And the relationships, past, present, or future, that you are projecting all over, they're going to be better too. You're either dead or alive. You are healing everything about that when you can work this axis. All right. And you've got help. And here's how I know how important this is. Nessus. Nessus at 11 degrees Pisces is in this challenging aspect to the sun. It is saying, It is looking at that and saying, oh, I could punch you. Or why are you doing this to me? Or, why can't I get over this? A lot of times, especially in Pisces, we turn it inward. And Nessus is your ancestral wounding, the ancestral trauma, the abuse, the sex abuse, physical abuse, traumatic cultural abuse, ancestral trauma that gets transferred through, mostly I think through behavior. It may have an entheogenic impact on the DNA, like my big words. But it's really, your parents are the way they are because of the way their grandparents raised them, because of their trauma, the way their parents raised them, because of their trauma. And all of a sudden you're holding this big bag that's not even yours. And yet some of it you have taken on because you've had to work with it. It's what has shaped you. And so you have the opportunity here to sift through that. I'm personally going to be doing some cord cutting during this moon window because I've got some new things that came up for me. And I'm done with them. I don't need to hang on to them or analyze them. We can just say goodbye. Go back where you came from. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. I am complete with this. And then that is Uranus and Albion are in a conjunction, a very long conjunction in Taurus. They are basically traveling through Taurus together for, years. And Uranus is surprise, the epiphany, the out of the blue revelation, the sudden shift, transformation. And Albion is a threshold. So these are in a flow with Nessus. They are speaking to Nessus and saying, cross over now. What will it take? What do you need? You can make the decision to step through the portal, to cross over the threshold, to have a rebirth, to have a death followed by a rebirth. These things are best not done alone. Crossing over thresholds, we need guides. So tap into your spirit guides, your ancestral guides. And if you've got someone, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a shaman person, even somebody, a really skilled space-holding massage therapist or oracle reader, someone you trust who can say, will you walk with me? I've got to release the emotions, cross the threshold, a huge transformation. And then the important thing is what happens next. Because we can cross these thresholds. We are doing it all the time. When I walk out of this room, I'm crossing a threshold. And my whole inner being says, you just transformed. This is how we are living moment by moment. But when you take one of these big ones, then the change, the ease and grace with which you can keep moving forward and begin to have the transformation and the results that you want involves with your next step, your next step, your next step. So I highly recommend you work with a coach, you work with a healer, you work with someone who is an expert in the thing that you are changing, maybe more than one someone. And if you think I might be your someone, reach out to me. So this is an incredibly potent time for the emotional release, the transformation, and doing some serious work and around the ancestral wounding. Now, this figure, no, wrong chart. This one. I want to look at the simple chart because I studied this figure when I saw this grand trine. This is a grand fire trine, and then surrounded by 3 squares. So this is an incredibly potent sigil. I don't know what it means. I'm going to do a little more research on it that I haven't had time to do yet, because this is happening in the sky and it's representing the energy. Now, the specific quality of the energy is defined by the planets involved, the various conjunctions that are making this line. And also the elements involved. This is fire and earth. We have a grand fire trine. Now, that could be kind of triggery for some of you because you are living with fire right now. And I send you blessings, prayers for low winds, soft rains. Let's get this fire under control. Fire out of control is destructive. And this can relate to the emotional fire. One of the corners of this, one of the angles of this triangle is in Aries. It is not the moon specifically, although the moon is everything in Aries that is connected to this moon. What you've got is a triple conjunction down in Aries between Eris, goddess of chaos, Mars, the masculine, who is force, focus, fire, war, get it done, direction, relentless, single-minded focus. And he loves fire. He does very well with fire. He is the ruler of Aries. He's in retrograde. He has just retrograded over Black Moon Lilith, who is the third part of this angle. She is the divine feminine before patriarchy, the great void that is coming into form. So she is using all of this fire energy of Aries to create. She's tapping into creative energy, pure, potent. And it is creative energy that is fast and furious. In other words, things can change really quickly. And you can manifest really quickly, which is why you want to be highly in tuned to where, your vibration, the focus that you are holding for what you're creating with all of this energy. And Eris, chaos, tearing things down, causing trouble. Well, we all know, I say that Eris is really important right now because she is going to help us take down the patriarchy. Now, that creates chaos. And some of us are incredibly comfortable in our white supremacist patriarchal world. The systems have been very, very good to us, whether we like it or not, whether it offends our sense of justice or not. If we don't, it's shit, but we benefit. So, we want to ground into this angle of the fire trine, and recognize that we are invited, we are required to become masters of chaos, to stand in the center while chaos goes around and not let it take us off our center, or to know how to quickly get back to center. That is the biggest work we have to do. And when we are on center with all of that chaos, Mars can carry that energy and direct it. Black Moon Lilith can Well, she's releasing that energy into the world, and she is making form. She is making atoms and molecules and shaping them into things. And so we can say, I want this. And she's right there, dropping it right into our hand. So this becomes a very important creative moment. Do not waste it. Do not waste it stewing or thinking you're not good enough or you can't or there are too many obstacles. You can shift everything on a dime with energy like this at your disposal. It might be helpful to know where this energy is in your natal chart. Coming across Venus in Leo. Venus is at 2851 Leo, heading into the last degree of Leo. She changes signs in the next couple of days. She enters the sign of the Virgin, of the Priestess. And Venus and Vesta together have been doing a lot of work for the past 6 months, preparing women especially to tap into the priestess archetype and stand in their sovereignty as priestess, as priestess within their own life. So Venus is offering abundance, sensuality, pleasure, a way to get through, a way to tolerate, a way to, it's no mistake. A friend of mine, Amy Jo Goddard, is doing a retreat, I think this coming weekend. I'm in retreat somewhere else, so I will be tuning in energetically while I'm in retreat with my sisterhood. But she's talking about pleasure activism, which is a fabulous book. Adrienne Marie Brown has written it, and I highly recommend it to all of you. Pleasure activism. Venus is right here tapping into the pleasure activism of this moment, saying that if you want to change the world, you better do it with pleasure. We are not, doing it with suffering won't change shit. We know suffering. So tapping into pleasure, we tap into our power, we tap into sovereignty, we tap into what is good and beautiful and right with each other so that we can strengthen our bonds. And there she is in Leo, gathering that regal leonine fire and getting ready to cross over. She is preparing herself, purifying herself in this moment to step into a sojourn in the priestess sign of Virgo. And then that is connected to other resources and healing points. Triple conjunction in Sagittarius between Hecate, Lilith, asteroid, and the galactic center. The galactic center is the black hole, the center of the galaxy, holding it all together. She is representing the great center, a model for us, an example for us, and something that we can tune into through our womb space. Hecate is the crone at the crossroads, or the triple goddess at the crossroads. She is everything. And she is the one who says, go ask the sun, go ask Venus in Leo, who is saying, you will find the way. And oh, by the way, you've got a threshold to cross. That's my job. I will take you. I will take you back and forth between the underworld and the above world when the time is right. I know the way, and I will guide you. Trust me. She is holding that deep wisdom of the crone alongside the galactic center, and they are surrounding the asteroid Lilith, who is the disowned feminine. the inner feminine, the part of us that disowns our feminine power, that does not trust ourselves, that wonders if there's something wrong with us. She is basically the feminine wound, which is a wound inflicted, installed is a better word, by patriarchy. And the minute we tap into that and say, oh, look at what I've been disowning, whew, she becomes the goddess within. She is no longer disowned. And that in itself can be terrifying, because she's going to break some rules. She's going to break some heads. She's going to crack some jugs on the ground and release God knows what kind of power. And so now you are taking the trip back to Aries, because what comes out feels like chaos. And so you master your chaos, your inner chaos, the chaos of the world, the chaos other people try to throw your way. Oh my God, we can keep going and keep going. Hello, Denisa, welcome. I am winding up here, so please come back and catch the replay. So that's the Grand Fire Trine, and it is hot. This Grand Fire Trine has been active for a couple of moon cycles. It was going on in the last full moon, and it may pick up again for the next moon with Vesta, because Vesta's following right along behind Venus now. And what about those squares? These right here are squares from this triple conjunction up in Sagittarius to Magdalena. That is a protective influence. Magdalena is Mary Magdalene. She is in Virgo. She is a priestess energy. She is a paradigm of the priestess, the priestess of Christendom, of the true Christianity. I even hate to use that word to represent what it means, the religion, the spirituality of love. If you have access to any information on Mary Magdalene, Megan Watterson's books are good. Or just tune in, do your own meditation, and ask her to speak to you. Ask her what kind of support she can offer you. When I see this structure, I had the kind of epiphany while I was doing this reading that this is a volcano. I was thinking, well, it's like the kiln with the fire, and this is the pot. This is the cauldron, the container, and this is the flame. All of these are accurate. They can all work, because it is a place where this is an alchemical reaction happening here. So a square requires action. And we think of the action as coming from the outside, something we apply. How do we break this square? We break it from the outside. My loves, you are here. You are in the center. And this square is not closed. In fact, I was going to look. This opens up to earth and fire. Yeah, all of these, everything about this, it opens up to the earth and the fire. Earth and fire. Earth and fire. And each of these, it's a fire connecting to earth. It's incredible. What does this mean to us? Do some meditating on that. What can that tell you? You are in a crucible. You are in a cauldron. You are changing. So you have Magdalena, feminine Christ consciousness, saying this cauldron is pure love. Whatever kind of hell it may feel like in the moment, it is happening for you. It is happening for your highest good, for your benefit. You can emerge from this. You are not alone in the middle of this. Coming down to Taurus, this square on this corner, from Venus to the dark goddess, the demonized goddess. Once again, this is the divine feminine emerging. And this is her light side, her shadow side. And they are holding this side. It is tense. It is tense between them. And yet, Vesta is holding the space for both. Vesta is our intermediary, and she is inside of us. She is in your womb. Bringing these two together. The priestess walks between the world of the goddess of light and the goddess of darkness. She has made that journey herself. She makes it daily, monthly. She can make it with you. And she is inside of you. And she is holding, in this picture, the base of the triangle. And then the triple conjunction in Aries, where Eris, Mars, and Black Moon Lilith are holding the fire trine. They are creating a square with the triple conjunction in Capricorn, which is Saturn and Chariklo, less than a degree apart, and Pluto, death and transformation. Saturn is the container, the rules, the form of the ceremony. You see, we think of Saturn sometimes as being restrictive. He is law, he is rule, he is all of those things. In fact, he is every ceremony, every spell, every healing session has a form that gives it its power, that focuses the energy. Saturn is here to focus this energy, and part of that energy, inside of that form, he is merging his energies with Chariklo. She is the wife of Chiron. Chiron is already hanging on to your emotions with the moon. He's helping you over there. And Chariklo is helping you here in this crucible. And I always associate her with herbs. She was a water nymph, a water spirit she allowed herself to transform into a centaur so she could marry Chiron and be his wife. She was in love with this one, and it was a challenging love because a significant aspect of their relationship was to keep him going. He had that 900 years of being the wound that would not heal. And she had to use all of her skill as a healer to keep him, to help him cope with the pain and to cope with the challenges of that wound. And she will do the same for you in this moment. And she has been moving with Pluto through Capricorn for years. And their dance is not over yet. And I think she has mitigated the effects of Pluto and Capricorn and all the aspects that Pluto has been making to Uranus and to Aries and to Saturn and to Jupiter. She has been holding that, saying, here, you can get through this. Take this herb and you'll be able to manage that energy. You can expand your field to contain this. You can protect yourself in this way. I think she's why we haven't completely destroyed ourselves yet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So that's a hell of a reading. And I appreciate you listening, paying attention. And let me know if there's any way that I can support you. I'm going to listen very deeply to see if I am called to hold some space for people to step in and join the container. I'll let you know. I'll let you know, and I'll let you know whether it needs to be tomorrow night or Thursday night, or whether it will be, can't be Friday, it will have to be tomorrow, during the day or during the night. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Full moon blessings to you.